All right, this is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. Tried to come on about 15 minutes ago, but I had a bad signal. Looks like the signal's a little bit better now, so let's try it again. I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about what's been going on since the last time I was here. Of course, you know, they had the Hall of Fame ceremonies last week. Before the ceremony took place, a couple of days before that, you know, Deion Sanders came out and spoke about his health condition. And he even got candid to the point where he mentioned how he had to go or deal with the bathroom issues. Well, what that led to for Sanders was a endorsement with the Pens, because he said if it wasn't for the Pens, he'd be in bad shape. And because of that, he's able to function pretty well. And after that, the Pens hooked him up with a nice endorsement. So even when the man's down, even when he's struggling, he still managed to bounce back with some kind of positive situation. And in this case right here, he's got a endorsement for the Pens, for what I understand is like $40 million. So if you're going to get sick, that's the way to bounce back. But I don't know if I want to get sick just for the idea or possibility to make that extra $40 million. And I think Deion would probably agree with that. If he didn't have to go through that, you keep that $40 million. But that's just one thing. And then the other thing that you had leading up to that was the Shannon Sharpe situation. You know, he had set up with that OnlyFans model, and they kind of knocked him back. And because of that, ESPN, after a long while, came back and fired the man. It's not that they didn't know they were going to fire him. It's all about timing and things. The man said he was okay with being fired, but he went to them and he tried to get them to wait until this Monday to release the information about him being fired, because he didn't want to mar the Hall of Fame ceremony of his brother Sterling. But what did ESPN do? They crossed him. They released the information anyway. So they're basically saying to you, damn you. And I don't like the way that ESPN comes out and they do certain things. Going all the way back to that, what's the guy that coached the Rockets now? I get his name mixed up every time. But he was messing around with some woman in the Celtics organization, and they blasted him out like he was doing the worst thing in the world. Yet at the same time, they hiding her identity, and she was the one that was married. So how you going to say he's ruining the image of the team when the person behind the scenes gets protected and she's the married one? I couldn't figure that, but they raked him through the coals over that, and because of that, he lost his job. He had a pretty good program going with the Celtics. And they kind of messed him up. And I just think it was unfair for them to do Sharpe the way they did. I mean, they could have waited till this Monday to release that information. It's not like we didn't know he was going to get fired anyway. And I just got a big problem with it. That noise you hear is coming from a guy on a motorcycle. I'm parked in the parking lot here, just trying to find me a signal. Tried to come on about 15 minutes ago, and I couldn't do it because of the bad signal. Celeste Benavides said she liked the Rockets. Yeah, the Rockets okay, and they probably ended up with the better end of the coaching deal, getting that deposed coach from the Celtics based on that ESPN situation. But I think it's kind of insulting to Sharpe and his family that they could have waited till this week to release that information, especially since he hadn't worked there in several months. So I think that was tasteless. But speaking of ESPN, if it's not a football game or something like that, I have no use for ESPN. I think it was a great idea when it came on, but they haven't quite advanced to match the times of what's going on with everything else in the media world. And they seem to think that everything they say is the way it's supposed to be. And by that I mean setting some kind of moral clause, but what kind of moral clause are you setting when you make unethical decision like you did with Sharpe? Make it make sense to me. How do you feel about the UK become, well, I don't know anything about, I don't want to talk about politics and all that. I just want to come on and talk sports. I'm a sports guy. I am aware of what's going on in the world, but I also realize how polarizing things are in the world right now. So I'd rather just stick to sports, and that's what I'm going to do. So, but Sharpe, you know, he lost all that money to that lawsuit, and unfortunately for him, he got sued again. This time, a lady said that she was defamed in comments that Sharpe and his partner on Nightcap, Chad Ochocinco, was saying about how she was behaving at an Usher concert. Now, I just happened to see that episode, and they wasn't saying that she was married. They were saying, well, if she was married, what would her husband be thinking? So basically, they were cracking jokes, looking at it from the viewpoint of some guy being jilted, because evidently the things that Usher does in a concert kind of puts the guy on the spot. So in other words, Usher may go through the crowd and pick your lady out while you sitting right there. And you kind of make the man look bad when you do that. And of course, he's doing that on purpose. But at the same time, it makes that man look bad. And they were commenting from the aspect of how a man would be looking in a situation like that. So they might have misspoke by saying that they thought she was married. I can't remember all of that, but I do remember seeing that episode at that time. And to me, they were clearly joking about it. But she wants to sue. And evidently, behind the scenes, they're talking to some kind of settlement deal to make that thing go away. But I think in this day and age, you got to be careful of what you say, because even though they say we got free speech, do we really have free speech? Because you can't pretty much say, no problem, unto ages of ages. God bless you too. But you can't, you just can't say anything because of the way things might be construed in from your viewpoint. And anybody can take any words and spin it around and make it offend a certain sect of people. And I think in this case right here, she claimed that she tried to send desist and deceased letters to Sharpe, but those are letters he may not even gotten. She says she called. Well, did she really call? I mean, well, from what I understand, this person here is a person of reputation, and she's not out for a money grab per se. She just wanted to go away because she don't want to be represented in that image. So I can understand her viewpoint, but to sue the man over that, no, that's something that could be going away. But one thing that I have to say about Sharpe, I got to give him credit. I saw that episode the other night when Sharpe telling Ocho that he owed him $5,900, and then he made a joke like my pocket's light right now. So when I heard him say that, I know he'll be all right, because if you can crack jokes about it, he'll bounce back pretty strong from that. So that'll be okay. But the thing about the Brotherhood, though, with the NFL Hall of Famers, they always say, well, once you get into clubs like that, then you can't even die out of that club. You're going to be an NFL Hall of Famer forever. And Sharpe, along with his brother, now became the first brother tandem in the NFL Hall of Fame. Now, I knew that one of the Selman brothers was in the Hall of Fame, but I thought both of them were in the Hall of Fame. But when I went back to check, I think it's Dewey Selman is the one that's in the College Hall of Fame, and he just got in recently. So the Sharpe brothers are the first to get into the NFL Hall of Fame as brothers, and maybe someday the other Selman will get in there. But I don't know if Drew Pearson in there or not, but I don't think his brother Preston was good enough to make the Hall of Fame. But it might be a long time before you ever see another set of brothers get into the Hall of Fame. So much credit must be given to them there. But those two guys are close as the size of a quarter. So to have that happen, and they both were alive to experience that, I think that was a great honor. You can only hope for a relationship with your brother to be that strong. Some of you have that. A lot of you don't get along with your brothers, but that's just the way it is. But it's clear that these two guys are super tight, and they've been through a lot together. And to celebrate such an honor, I think that is a great honor. Now, that's enough of that before I start talking about my brother. All right. And finally, going back to Deion Sanders, I started out by talking about Deion getting that endorsement from the Pens, because he claims to wear the Pens now after his bladder surgery. Going back to what I was saying before, I think that if I've had a Hall of Fame career at something, and he's getting ready to turn 58, he's got 4 years on me, and you're starting to have health problems, you got into coaching to get your sons in, the position to where they are now. The man's done his job. So if you're having all these health problems now, I'm trying to figure out why would you continue to stress and strain yourself by staying in the coaching profession. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, and I think it's great that he can do that, because most players, once they reach a certain height, they don't have time to come back and try to teach somebody else. He's doing a good job in that role, but he also has to look to himself. He's been accused of being selfish. He's got a selfish persona. At least that's what people believe. He has a selfish persona. You know those flashy ways. Those are all selfish characteristics. It's clear that he's not really that way. That's just the persona he puts out there. But if you're having health problems and you're starting to get up in age, after living long enough, once you start having a whole series of health problems, it's not going to get a whole lot better. So why not go on and do anything else you might want to do in this world? Now, granted, he's been at the heights for a long time, so maybe he's done everything he wanted to do, and maybe he wants to put a feather in his cap by becoming a successful college coach. He's been that, but he wants to go higher. So maybe that's what's driving him. But I haven't reached his heights, and if I was in that position, I'd be going, because like I say, once you start having health problems, it's not going to get any better. And you started out with his blood clots, and now you got cancer, and I hope it don't come back. But you know how cancer is. As soon as you think you got it, it shows up somewhere else. And once they cut you open, it starts to spread, and it's a slippery slope there. And I think if I was in that same situation, much as I like being around athletics, I think the writing's on the wall for me to go do something else, because I don't want to be the guy that checks out on the sideline. I also don't want to be the guy that coached 40 years and pull a Bear Bryant within a week later you're gone. I mean, that happens to a lot of people. And it don't necessarily mean you have to be a coach to be in that situation. I'm talking about like a lot of people where I'm from work at the big industrial plant. They'll work 40 years and retire on Friday, and Monday they'll be dead. And I've noticed that going way back. Things seem to be improving now, but you work in a place 40 years, you figure when you get off, you want to go do something else. And then to die 3 days later, that's a cruel twist of fate. So if you have an opportunity after bouncing back from a cancer surgery, I think the writing's on the wall to go do something else. I'd like to know how you guys feel about that. Now, that kind of got me off my subject a little bit, but we can expand that by going to Deion's son, Shedeur. Quick recap, we all know the story. He was projected to be a first-round pick, top 5 pick. Well, he got a reputation of being arrogant and all of these different things. Whether it's true or not, that's what happened to him. So he slips all the way down to the 5th round. And surprisingly, Cleveland takes him after picking up a quarterback, Dillon Gabriel, in the 3rd round. So now, you got a logjam at quarterbacks at Cleveland. You got Deshaun Watson, who can't play. He's not going to play this year. They're going to get rid of him the first chance they get. You bring in Joe Flacco. You got Kenny Pickett you bring in. You draft Gabriel. You draft Sanders. Now, of course, then they're going to keep all those quarterbacks. So my thinking was this. They're going to keep 2. Whoever wins the battle between Sanders and Gabriel was going to get the 3rd spot. They were going to release the 4th guy with the intentions of signing him to the practice squad. But I also said that once that person hit the waivers to wait the time out to go to the practice squad, somebody else was going to pick him up. So one of those 4 guys aren't going to be there. But during camp, now you got injuries. You got a couple hamstring injuries. Sanders got a sore shoulder, and it's a mess. So what do? They sign a 5th quarterback. They bring back Tyler Huntley. So you got 5 quarterbacks. But all these guys seem to be getting hurt. But Sanders has improved to the point where he's going to get the first start of the preseason. Now, out of all the negativity we've heard about this guy, he hasn't been getting any reps in practice. The owner came out last week and pretty much said that he didn't want the guy, even though We heard when they drafted him, it was the owner who made the call. If you go back and look at the faces of the coach and the GM when they had to select him, they didn't seem to be too happy about it. So the whole situation there in Cleveland is a mess. I said, if the owner made them draft Sanders, it puts the coaches in a bad spot. Because if Sanders outplays them all, it makes the coaches look like they don't know what they're doing. So they don't really want Sanders. But after the owner came out and said he didn't want him either, hell, I don't know what to make of Cleveland. I don't think they know what to make of the situation either. But lo and behold, with all these injuries, it goes back to my main point. When Sanders gets his chance, he has to take advantage of it. So now he gets his chance tomorrow night. I don't know who they're playing. I didn't catch that part, but I know he's going to get the start. And just like Trey Lance started the other day, he has an opportunity to come in and probably play majority of the game to show everybody what he can do as a pro quarterback. There's none of that legacy stuff, none of that what you did in college, none of that hype. All that is over with. You got one shot. And if he lays an egg, then they're going to say, well, he's justified of being the 5th round pick, and we're going to get rid of him when the first cut comes around. But if he comes out and he outplays them, all the people who want him to succeed and expect him to succeed will get an opportunity to show the world, say, look, I told you this guy can play. This is it in front of your eyes, and now the Browns can't do nothing but acknowledge the fact that this guy is our quarterback, like we've been telling you all along. But you didn't want to give him a shot due to political reasons. Well, politics aside, those guys in the dog pound, they don't give a damn about the politics. They want to win. They want a quarterback that can play. Now, granted, this is still preseason, and it's the first preseason, so you're still not going to get the large amount of starters to play in this game. That will probably come in game 2. But if he comes out and he's executing well, he has a facility for the offense, he's putting the ball in the right spot, and he's not putting the offense in a bad situation. They're not getting silly penalties. These are the things that the coaches are looking for at this stage. And if he goes out and he shines, then he's going to start getting more reps starting next week. And then he has an opportunity to seize that job in Cleveland. Because you know Flacco, he's old, he can go down at any time. Kenny Pickett, he seems like he got anxiety problems. And Gabriel, he's just trying to win a job just like Sanders. So, like Shannon said, you can't make the club in the tub. And if Gabriel is hurt and Kenny Pickett is hurt, this is an opportunity for Sanders to close the door on all of them. But the question is, can he do it? I've heard all kind of reports. I heard he was doing great when he got his few reps. And then I heard he wasn't doing very well. Well, you can't do but so much if you're only getting but a handful of reps. So it's up to this guy to show us what he's going to be as an NFL quarterback starting tomorrow night. All right, now let me go back to some of these comments. Reginald Newsom says, what's up, chat? I asked the question, will Shedeur take hold of this job? And 62% as of now are saying that he will. I'm kind of neutral on the situation. Like I said, I've been hearing a lot of different things. And all that back and forth about where a guy should be drafted and who might take him, I get tired of hearing all of that. So I don't even pay too much attention to it. I like to watch these preseason games just for situations like this. And because Sanders is such a hype guy and the fact that his dad's a Hall of Famer, this preseason game may get a lot of views. And it might just be the opportunity that Sanders has been waiting for all along. Is he ready for it? He should be ready for it. He should know how to prepare at this point. His dad should have showed him that. He learned all of that from being a starting quarterback in college. He's got an extra opportunity here. And I'm looking forward to sitting back and watching to see just what he does with it. And I think a lot of other people are doing the same because I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm waiting for these final cuts and see who's going to shake out where, and it'll make all the difference in the world. Now, the other team that's making all the noise, of course, the Cowboys. Jerry Jones, I guess he's trying to get more publicity toward his team, but what he's about to do is blow the team. He's telling all these guys, when your time come up to get paid, we're going to make you wait, make you sweat, as if you didn't deserve it. And the strange thing about it, you have some players that come with the Cowboys that aren't even household names or top-rated players for the team. As soon as they come up with contract extensions, bam, you give it to them right away. And the question is, why? Why would you make a guy like Michael Parsons wait? You need to go in and lock this guy up, because if he's going to play with the team, you're going to end up paying him more than what you could have paid right now. So why not go ahead and just pay the guy and get it over with? If you want him on the team, pay the man. If not, trade him. Parsons has asked for a trade. Of course, Jerry's not going to do it. This is just par for the course for him. And he's going to keep on doing the things that Jerry wants to do, because this is his plaything. He's getting up in age. What's he, about 85 now? He don't give a damn about what people think about him. He's going to do things the way he wants to do them. But I will say this. Out of all the trades and all the draft picks and the free agency, the question that needs to be asked, did the Cowboys pick up a new owner in free agency? If they didn't, they ain't going to do nothing. Because as long as Jerry Jones is running this Mickey Mouse organization, he is going to alienate his players, and when they need to be cohesive the most, they're not going to be, because of the shenanigans they playing in that front office. Now, Jones is a genius because he's making money. And I told you guys before, all this sports stuff all comes down to who can take care of their family. So I can criticize Jones all day. I can criticize any of these top flight millionaire players in the league. But what they're going to do, they're going to open up their bank account, they're going to look at those numbers, they're going to close that account, they're going to glance over at me, and they're going to walk off. Why? Because their family is well taken care of. I don't have millions in the bank, but that doesn't mean I don't know what's going on. So if you don't care about winning the championship, then keep on doing what you do and make your money and whatever it is and move on. But the reality is, if you're doing everything you need to do to take care of your family, then in reality it's good enough. Because in the end, none of this stuff means anything. Let's just say the Cowboys go 16-1, and then they make it to the Super Bowl and get blown out. Was that a successful season? Well, as a player, no, because you didn't win the championship on the field. But in the finance department, it was a big win for the Cowboys because they made it to the Super Bowl. More eyes on the team. More revenue came in. So even though Jones might have lost the Super Bowl, he had lost in the finance department. So to him, I think that is the biggest deal. Can I win by making money? And if I can make money, can I put the cherry on top by winning the championship? He thinks he's going to win the championship before he gets out of here. I don't think so. Not the way he's going. Because if you really cared, you do like the Eagles do, or some of these other teams when they have a player that they know they need to keep, they go in and lock him up. But not Jones. He don't give a damn. And he's a billionaire with a toy to play with, and it just happened to be called the Dallas Cowboys. You as a fan are suffering. And I heard fans say on the radio the other day that if Jones lets this guy Parsons gets away, he's going to take all his Cowboy jerseys and memorabilia and get rid of it and go find him another team. And again, Jones, he wouldn't give a damn because you were loyal for all that time. In your heart, you're still a Cowboy. And you spent all that money with the Cowboys. Thank you. And that's just about the extent of it. They don't care. But if you just listen to some of the comments they make, like Steven, talking about the man don't know, he don't want to get paid. Why the hell wouldn't he want to get paid? I mean, what sense does it make some of these things that they're saying out of Dallas? You might as well go ahead and play the guy because the Eagles, they're going to keep on doing the right things. Their quarterback keeps getting disrespected. They put him in the top 50, 14 to 15th ranked quarterback of the league, and man, just all he does is win. He's not making any waves in the headlines, and they've been successful. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. Now, if you don't tighten up, it's going to be 3. And one thing's for sure, Dallas won't be a threat to the Eagles unless they get a whole bunch of massive injuries, and I'm not wishing that on nobody, but that's pretty much the way things are going to be. As long as Jerry keeps getting in the way, the Cowboys are going to stumble, and that's just the way it is. What do you think about that? All right, so I asked the question, do you think Shedeur will take hold of the Browns' job? 70% of you are saying yes, he will. Well, I want to see him do it. There's nothing to tell you the truth more so than tape. If he's doing the right thing on tape, then the Browns have no choice but to give this guy more reps. He hasn't been getting very many reps in camp. But let's just play the game of what if. Let's just say he does play well. What do the Browns do with their quarterbacks? Well, do you get rid of Pickett or Flacco? Or do you get rid of Gabriel? Well, I think what I'll do, if Shedeur steps up and takes his job, I'll take Gabriel and Dylan. Get some kind of value out of that third-round pick. And then Kenny Pickett, I'll have him battle Flacco for a position. So I would deal Gabriel, Shedeur wins the job, and cut the loser of the Kenny Pickett-Flacco competition. Then that'll leave you with 3 quarterbacks. And then you also have Tyler Huntley, who was just signed pretty much as a camp body to fill in. Get rid of him too. And of course, the first chance to get rid of Deshaun Watson, he's gone. All right, Daryl DPP says he's better than an overpaid Lemon quarterback. Who's the Lemon quarterback you talking about, man? I don't know what you're talking about. The Giants be waiting for those Cowboys. Well, I don't know what they're waiting for, because you start talking about the Giants and the Cowboys, it's like looking in the mirror at the same team, man. The Giants did improve, though. I think Russell Wilson and I forget the other quarterback is in there with. They're fighting for that job. I like to see what my man out of Mississippi, Ole Miss, is going to do, Jackson Dart. I think he'd be the future there. But right now, I think Wilson should win that job. Now, the Cowboys, they should score a lot of points on offense this year. Their defense need to tighten up, which is another reason why they need a guy like Micah Parsons. And that'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. So I'll be looking to see. Daryl DP say Dak is a lemon. So you mean lemon like a car, man? Yeah, I don't know if we might be able to get some kind of trade-in value from him, man. But the lemon law don't protect everything, you know. But Dak, you know, he is kind of he like glass in a lot of ways, and the older he gets, the more glass he's going to become. So I think the Cowboys might need to find another quarterback to back him up, because like you say, Darryl, he is suspect at times. But if they give him time to throw, and now you got CeeDee Lamb on one side and Pickett's on the other, they re-signed that tight end and gave him all that money. He's all right, and if he can just be enough of a threat going down the middle, then yeah, they could be a problem. Okay, you're right. Jameis Winston is also in New York. So okay, so Hakeem, who you think is going to be the Giants quarterback? I'm going to go with Wilson to win that job. I think they're going to sit Dart down to learn, and they're going to back him up with Winston. Winston, only thing about him, I think he might just have too much confidence, man. He want to stand in there and throw the ball away, and kind of like Brett Favre, you know, he'll cut you up sometime, but then he's going to throw that one or two that just knock you out of the game, and that's what Winston is good for. He's going to throw a pick. It's almost like looking at the calendar and say that this day is coming. The interception is coming from Winston. Just don't blink, because it's coming at any time. So we've seen that before. Remember Lamb and Cooper? Yeah, I remember all of that. I mean, I've seen the Cowboys' futility over the years. I'm not a fan of the Cowboys, never will. The only reason that I would root for the Cowboys at all is to make sure that they're good, so it's give me more reason not to like them. But I'm going to leave you guys with this, and I want you to take this into consideration. You know, this is summertime down here. I just stepped out of the job, and I just started sweating like a wild pig. Those are the days when you have housework, yard work you need to do. Go get you a Dallas Cowboys shirt, put it on, and go change the oil in your car, rake the leaves, cut the grass, climbing in the basement, you know, all on the ground, get it all dirty and grimy, because that's what Cowboys gear is. That's all it's good for. But when you come out from doing all that, you go in the house and you look up at that nice Steelers jersey and say, wow. You don't even take it out of the pack. But that Cowboy jersey, man, Go cut the grass with it, man. Cut it up and then wash your car with it. That's all it's good for, man. And the good thing about it, that dark blue color, it looks just like a rag. I'm just messing around, though. Well, Russell's going to be the starter. I think so. Well, the thing about Parsons, he's not really good on the run, but if you get a guy to peel his ears back and go after that quarterback, he's the guy to do it. And he's young, and he's strong, and he's big. So don't count out. I just think Jerry just going about it the wrong way. You just need to go ahead and sign this guy and get it over with. And I think in the end, he's going to wait right before the season starts, and he's going to sign him. And he'll probably come out and say, well, I did this just so the guy can get some rest during training camp. We didn't want to overwork him, which is a bunch of malarkey. But that's what he do. That's his team. That's his money. He can do what he want to do. But don't start crying when it backfires on you like it always does. And I think the Cowboys really, they won't start to get back into the upper echelon of things until Jones steps aside and lets somebody run the team. And I know you guys aren't historians like me. Take Pittsburgh, for instance. Pittsburgh was in the league almost 40 years before they started winning. And that's because Dan Rooney, his son, Jr., got Dad to step aside and let him run that team. Dan Rooney Jr. is responsible for the success of the Steelers, not the guy that started the team, Art. So keep that in mind. And I think, I don't know about Steven, as long as he hang around his dad, he's going to pick up the same ways. So I don't think that's going to help him a whole lot. So I don't know. Well, TJ Watt, you would think that these teams know who they're playing against. Their game plan to neutralize a Watt. Same kind of thing with Myles Garrett. You can move him around and create matchup nightmares, but he's got to line up somewhere. What I think about the Bills? Well, I work with a guy that's a huge Bill fan down here in Florida, and I told him, I say, every team that they put on that Hard Knocks, they might go deep in the playoffs, but they never get into the Super Bowl and win it. And I think that is going to be the case with Buffalo. Hard Knocks is kind of like a death sentence, per se, in the kind of way that it used to be where if you hosted the Super Bowl or your city hosted the Super Bowl, and you weren't going to go to the Super Bowl. Now, that changed a few years with Tampa, and then the Rams came back and did the same thing. But in general, if your city is hosting that Super Bowl, you can just about forget going because it just ain't going to work out for you. Unless, of course, you got some people in the league behind the scenes dictating what's going to happen, kind of like on a movie script. That's the only way I see that happening. So, but the Bills, pretty good team. But I really think, and people are saying Aaron Rodgers is too old. And no, I'm not being biased. With the style of play that Pittsburgh plays, play action, run the football, Aaron Rodgers is perfect for that. So if Pittsburgh can run the football, they're going to cause some problems for people. They got the defense to slow people down. The question is, what are they going to do about their building up there in Baltimore? They're going to have to put Henry on his back. Only way to beat Baltimore, you have to stop that run up the middle. So when Jackson comes running around the corner, you got something for him. He can't escape. So if you can curtail those two and make Jackson become a pocket passer, I'm betting against the Ravens. Because Jackson, he only showed me one time that he can take a team down the field and score when they have to do it. He did that against Buffalo. And unfortunately for him, they dropped a 2-point conversion. But he's kind of snake bitten in a way too. Because that year when Henry was playing for the Titans and they got knocked out by the Titans, all year long, Jackson would throw the ball in odd places behind the receivers over the head, in the ground, but those receivers made great catches all year long that year. But in the playoffs, he was throwing some pretty good balls, and they were dropping them. Same thing happened to him last year. So if he can keep improving as a passer, and they actually catch the damn ball consistently, then Baltimore is a very serious threat. And I think Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati is going to be better. And Kansas City, a lot of people are counting them out. I don't think they're dead. You're still going to have to beat them. But they ain't what they used to be. And I think it's going to be some new blood in the Super Bowl for the AFC. That's just my take on that. All right. So now I see the polls. The numbers start to get up. Half of you, a little more than half, think that Shedeur is going to take control of that position tomorrow. Now, mind you, that's just the first preseason game. And because it's the first preseason game, you're not going to get a true picture of what he's going to face as a starter during the regular season. But what it does do, you get an opportunity to see what kind of decisions he's making, how he runs that offense, and is he capable of taking control of that offense and being the leader of that team that they need to score points. And that's what we're going to see from him tomorrow, kind of like what we saw last week with Trey Lance against Detroit. That's what you're going to see. So if he's able to do that, he's got an opportunity to set himself up moving forward. All right. Kevin Vostola says, I was born in Buffalo, grew up in Rochester, now live in Jersey. You can't mention the Bills here in Eagles country, though. They freak out. Well, the Eagles fans freak out over anything. They just like confrontation. You go to a game with some Eagles stuff on, then you have a problem. And it's well noted that in the old vet, they used to have a jail down there because they used to fight and cause so much carnage there. Instead of just taking them downtown through the crowds and all of that, they just put them in the cell at the stadium until everything dissipated, and they just took them to jail from that point. But yeah, Eagles fans are pretty rough. They're serious about their team, and that's when they're losing. So you can imagine what it is now when all the I've been an Eagles fan all my life come out of the woodworks when they really just heard about the Eagles. You know how that is. All right. James said, I think it's just from injuries. Before the injuries, he hadn't gotten any reps with first team. Now they didn't want the man in the first place. So if the owners say he didn't want him, the coaches didn't want him, why you draft this man? Maybe it's a favor to Deion because if they didn't draft him, who was going to pick him up? So I think the worst case scenario, they would just sign him as a free agent, and he would have ended up somewhere. But if he's good as if they say as people think he is, or if he is bad as people think they is, it's going to show in this game coming up tomorrow. And I'd be interested to see it. What do you think of the Niners this season? Well, I think the Niners are going to be better than people think they are. They did lose a couple key players, but I think the thing with 49ers is people really don't have any confidence in quarterback Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy has played well, but most people on the radio and casual fans, they just don't think much of Brock Purdy, and that's the real reason why they don't give the 49ers much hope for anything. But if McCaffrey is healthy and they're able to run the football and Purdy is able to continue to be timely, then I wouldn't count the 49ers out. Arizona, they flip a coin on them. They're going to be a 50-50 ball club. Seattle, we don't know what they're going to do. With Pete Carroll, I have a good idea. And the Rams are supposed to be loaded, but I heard that from them before. There's no telling what the Rams might do. They pretty much go with the quarterback. And as much as they put the genius tab on McVay, he ain't no more genius than the rest of them. It's can the guy go out there and make the play, and that's going to be Stafford. And from what I understand, he's having back problems already. So until the game start, everybody's got a chance. But in reality, you got about 5 or 6 teams that really have a chance to win it. And most people pick those 5 or 6 teams based on what you did last year. But with free agency and all this stuff moving around, and then one guy comes out and plays better than you thought he did or would, then that team's going to jump, and you won't even know where they came from. So this is the stuff I picked up over the years. You can't count nobody out. You know, it's just like bullies. You want to pick on a little guy because you think you can whoop him. Well, the little guy been watching you pick on everybody else, and soon as you jump on him, he's going to do something to you. And now you're going to be calling for somebody to get him off you. And that's what some of these other teams that are being overlooked, they're going to come out swinging, and you won't even know where it came from. And that's going to make for a pretty good season this year, and I can't wait to see it. All right, one last look at the poll. It's about 50-50. A lot of you think that Shedeur can take hold of this job, and he has an opportunity. And the beauty of it all, when you're playing sports, all you want is an opportunity. Shedeur has his opportunity. What would he do with it? Now, if he goes out there and lays an egg, then I don't want to hear nothing else about Shedeur. He'll get another shot at some point, but all I ever wanted was a chance. You know, if you give me a couple reps, I'm going to do something. You hand me the ball 10 times, you might wrap me up for 2 yards here, 3 yards there. But in one of those 10 carries, I want to pop through for 15 plus. And then once you do that and you do it again, then you open some people's eyes and you're going to get an opportunity. And this is what his chance is right now. Forget your legacy of your dad. Forget what you've done. All the hype don't mean nothing. This is his chance. What are you going to do with that chance? One shot is all you really want. and I think that's what it's going to be. All right, what do you think of the Niners? I said that. Break forever. 49ers draft good this year. We'll see how that plays out. I want to see Bryce Young come out and shine after all the stuff he's been through with the Panthers. Well, he's starting to get better. He reminds me of that jackleg baseball team I got. We couldn't feel a ground ball, but toward the end of the year, I actually started to look like a baseball team and played pretty good ball. And that's the way Carolina looked. Looked like they just didn't belong, and all of a sudden they started to play ball. And they're going to take that momentum into this year, and they're going to be a whole lot better football team, just like my baseball team will be this year. All right. I am Coach Hall again. I just stopped in. I hadn't been on here in a week. I put a ceremony on there yesterday. A lot of people didn't understand what that was, so I won't get into that. But I normally come on once a day live. I'll post other little videos, and starting Monday, we go back to work. I'll be on every morning again around about 6:30. So if I don't see you guys later on tonight, I'll catch you tomorrow unless there's some breaking news. I appreciate you checking me out. Please like and subscribe, and drop me a comment, and let's chop it up about these sports, man. So until next time, this is Sports for Real. Keep an eye on them Steelers, man, because we might just be going places this year. And I'm not just blowing smoke. But Shedeur, this is your chance. What are you going to do with it? I know what I'll do with it if I